See me, Ray?
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm going to give everyone just a minute to log in real quick. We're excited to have you all here for our webinar Wednesday. Excellent. Good to see some new names today and some familiar names. Welcome back for those of you who've been coming. And welcome to those who are new to our webinar. All right. Well, let's get officially started. We got everybody logging in. Good morning and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We're so excited to have you here today. Today we have our guest, Monica Wheaton and Ryan Thornton with ECI, and they're going to talk to us today about revolutionizing the home buying experience with interactive tools and connected design centers. Before we officially get started, I do want to go over a couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, we do take questions throughout the webinar. I do ask them until the end, and we'll ask them live to Monica and Ryan to answer at the conclusion of the webinar. So if you have questions throughout, please feel free to click on the two speech bubbles down at the bottom with the Q&A underneath them and type in your question. I'll go ahead and read that to Monica and Ryan. If you have any technical issues or have any questions that are related to how the webinar is running, and you can connect with me directly through the chat, and that's that single speech bubble. So feel free to reach me directly if you have questions, or if you guys want to make comments about the webinar to the rest of the group, feel free to use that chat function as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Monica has been, she's our key speaker today, and then she'll share a little bit about Ryan. But Monica has been in the home building industry for about 25 years. I know she looks like she's only like in her 20s, so she must have started when she was a baby. But she's very knowledgeable in all things home building from the ground up. And now she's been involved with ECI, I believe, 6 or 7 years. Is that correct, Monica?
Actually, 4. It feels like a lot longer.
Oh my gosh.
4.
Yeah. But she's great. So I'm really excited to have her here as our guest today. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Monica and Ryan. Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you very much, Imogen, and welcome everybody. Thank you for having us today on the webinar. We're excited to be here. So first we should start out by introducing ourselves. And
hold on one second, Monica. Ryan, can you mute? I think there's an echo with your mic. So if you could go ahead and just mute yourself, we can have Monica go ahead and get started. I think that's better. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks. And you see the title slide right now? And now you see us.
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. So as Emma Jane said, my name is Monica Wheaton. I'm the Vice President of Customer Success here at ECI for the Residential Home Construction Division. I work across all 6 of our products. So I work with our Lasso customers, Mark Systems, and InSearch customers as well. And I love what I do because I really work with our customers to make sure that they are very successful in using the products and incorporating them into their daily lives. And I brought Ryan with me today to speak about InSearch. Well, I'm going to talk about InSearch, but he's here because he's the development manager of InSearch. Ryan, do you want to do a quick introduction and then we'll get started?
If I can. Am I echoing still?
You're a little bit echoing, but you're okay.
Okay. Yeah, so co-founded InSearch almost 14 years ago now. And then I'm the newcomer to the ECI ecosystem, which we'll go through that a little bit today. But yeah, basically came up through the architecture world and then somehow landed in the software world, and then haven't looked back since. So I'm excited to talk to you guys today about what we're doing over at ECI. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Well, thank you, Ryan. And then we'll go ahead and get started. And so I'm looking at the list of who's here today, and it's great to see some very familiar names. So thank you very much for joining us. So as we get started, when I introduced myself, I alluded to the fact that we do have 6 different products within the Residential Home Construction Division, but ECI is a little bit bigger than that. And we do have products that are within the whole building and construction industry for like suppliers and things like this. But this is our ecosystem within the Residential Home Construction Division. So as I said, there's the 6 products. There's build tools for custom homes and remodelers, Mark Systems, which most of you are most familiar with, which is our, it's our operating system or back end system for mid-sized builders. Lasso is our CRM. LompView is interactive sitemaps. It's also good for developers because it could be a management system for developers. It's also a great way to see visually the back end of your operations. And then InSearch. And today we are talking about InSearch. And just because I have these on here, there's our ITK product that's incorporated with Mark Systems. And we do have a Bolt product, which we'll probably cover another time, or you probably have heard of it. That is actually for trade contractors, and it helps contractors manage their own work that they're doing with builders and things like that. So today, though, we are going to be talking about InSearch, as I said. And I really like to start with this quote, which, especially when you're talking about like an online design center and sales center, and really the front end of your system, content without intent is noise, but intent without content is just decoration. And really what that means to us is that, it's nice to have things that are pretty and, the front end and really get things going. But if you don't have that substance behind them, or if you can't support them with the data, and it's difficult, then it's not really worth it. So you want to make sure that you have that. So this InSearch, basically what we're talking about is shopping online. And I want to start by kind of setting the stage here with the new home buyer trends. So basically what we found, and Zillow's study says, is that 96% of buyers are starting their new home purchase online. And they're really not even starting on your website, but they're getting there through home listing sites and things like that. So it's really important that you do have a presence online. Your buyers are really, because they're shopping online so frequently, and especially after the COVID and everything that happened with that, a lot of the buyers are expecting to be able to buy things online, or at least be able to research and have that kind of Amazon shopping experience. We've also found that with our customers that are incorporating some of these interactive tools, they've been able to boost engagement on their sites up to 600%. So visitors are spending a lot more time on their websites, which is great, because when you have an engaged buyer, you're more prospect, you're going to probably see more buyers come out of that as well. And then the really cool thing, especially about InSearch, and when you're considering incorporating online tools, you want to be able to integrate that so that the digital experience or the online experience mirrors or is able to be sort of not necessarily replicated, but continued offline as well. So you want to have your digital tools complement your in-person activities that buyers are having with the builders and the sales agents that you have. My computer's doing weird things. There we go. So basically, the whole point of this is you really, in order to get committed buyers, you really want to help prospects fall in love with their new homes, because emotions really drive nearly 90% of our decisions. And so while we have all those emotions too, they have to be practical as well. And so this is why tools like interactive floor plans and mortgage calculators and things like that are really, really important to have on your sites. So you want to be able to create an opportunity for prospects to become emotionally connected with their new homes online and provide unique interactive home personalization opportunities for them. This also, by having these opportunities for builders to connect and to do these types of things online, it allows them to save time and review their selections and activities so that they can build their dream home, which is, we found, has been a real time saver for both the design center teams as well as the sales teams, when prospective buyers can go on and actually research and get enough information on what kinds of homes that they want to build or buy online. A lot of these tools allow you to capture activities and follow up to increase the potential for new sales. So if you can see what builders and what prospects are doing online, it allows the live team, the sales team, to be able to follow up and to have more in-depth conversation, which can result in better sales as well. And then again, like I said on the last slide, you want to ensure a seamless experience for prospective buyers from online to in person. And so some of the tools that we're going to talk about today are customizable floor plans, virtual tours, configurators, interactive site maps, Google Map integrations, mortgage calculators, and digital design centers. And so again, like I said before, the longer a potential buyer spends on your website, the more likely they are to purchase a new home. And some of you may have some of these tools already, or have looked at some of these tools already, and that's great. And so they may be kind of familiar to you as we go through them. So let's dive in. So this next section, we're going to actually cover about InSearch. So what is InSearch? InSearch is a tool that we have created, well, that Ryan and Chad have created to empower your home buyers. And it is a really awesome tool that brings you online design centers, a digital sales center, and really helps with the marketing technology. It really is there to offer a better and more personalized buying experience. And it can create an immersive, transparent, and interactive customer experience. So really, while you want to empower your home buyer and get them more engaged on your website, the main goal obviously is you want to make your homes more profitable. And the way you can do that is by allowing your buyers the capability to easily select options and upgrades. And so by having a digital design center, it allows you to offer those more easily to the buyer, and it also can push for increased profitability on each of your homes. So this slide will tell us a little bit about what InSearch is. So we do have the sales side of the software, which is the interactive floor plans and things. We also have the design center, and we're going to dive into each of these things separately. We've got configurators, virtual tours, and then all sorts of other things. So this is just go from there. Sorry. All right. So again, what does InSearch do, or what can we expect out of InSearch? We can expect to see some increased option sales. So seeing is truly believing with interactive options. So buyers are more apt to make a purchase once they have their options and they've made a selections. And as I said, we want to increase profitability, and InSearch can bring you 40 to 100% more profit per home by putting these options right in front of the buyers. InSearch can also help reduce appointment time. So when you're able to give a design center to a buyer that they can then take home and play with on their couch and then come back with a wish list to go and review with a designer, it really saves a lot of time for the design team, because they're not having to sit with a couple and go through every option individually and listen to the discussions and things like that. A lot of that, those conversations can happen beforehand. So when you do have those appointments, they're a lot more focused on decision making and getting to the final build. It really allows the online design centers allow for improved customer experience, again, because the buyer is able to dive deeper into and self-serve the information on the homes that they're building. And so it gives them a more personalized experience and allows them to really see what they're looking for. And then it allows the builders and the sales team to have a better understanding of what their buyers are looking for. And so what we found also with InSearch is that not only can you look and see what these buyers are looking at and what sort of they're trending for what they want in their home and what they're selecting, but you can also see across, if you're looking at the data and what all of your buyers are doing, you can kind of see what trends are more apparent and can do a little bit more with winnowing down your selections, or really targeting in on those selections that most buyers might be interested in based on market information. So then this is actually a really great point, and we'll cover this when we talk about how InSearch works with Mark systems. But what we really are after with InSearch is really minimizing mistakes from human error. So when you have a system, a design center, or a sales system that's actually feeding from your operating system, which is what we have with InSearch, it really helps to minimize mistakes from having two disparate systems, or when you're trying to track things offline and communicate across divisions and things like that. And so that's a lot of the benefit that we see with InSearch as well. So let's look at what the sales center is. This is an example of something that can be put on your website. So these are our interactive floor plans. And what's really neat about these is that you can actually put them on your website, or you can have it as a separate little website that you connect to your site. But buyers can come in here and they can take a look at these floor plans, and they can adjust them based on the different options that you are offering on the floor plan. It also has the capability to have this mortgage calculator there, which is a great feature to allow buyers to understand what they can and can't afford. So they can put in the information on what they would expect for their mortgage, and then they can then start clicking around and seeing how these different options and added features are impacting their projected monthly mortgage payments going forward. And the cool thing about InSearch is you can have this or you don't have to have it. So if you want to include pricing, you can put it out there, but if you prefer not to, you don't have to. You can even just do it on some floor plans and not others, just to kind of test what the market is. And you'll see here that you can even play around with furniture and add furniture in there to see what the impact of that is going to be. And, really just allowing the buyers to play around with the home.
And Monica, too, just
Yep.
to point out those interest rates that we have in there, we're trying to will the interest rates back down a little bit to what they used to be. So.
I was just looking at that. They're supposed to go down next year, but I don't know if they'll go down to 3.25. We'll see about that. One thing you'll notice here is down towards the bottom right above the picture of the house, there's this little bar there that says Save Design. And again, this is all about giving this great experience to the buyer, where now they've spent all this time building out this house and adding options and playing around and getting to the perfect build that they want. And what they can do is click on that Save Design button there. And what it will do is it will download a PDF of all of the selections that they've created. So they can then take that PDF back and show it to their family or email it or even post it on social. You know how people get with all their social posts and things like that, or do whatever they want with that. But the really cool thing about it is that when they do save that design, they have to enter their contact information. So we get the contact information as the builder, but we also get their whole design as well. So the sales agent can see exactly what the buyer or the prospect was doing on their website and what things they were clicking on and what they want. So when this prospect goes into the sales center, the sales agent can really just go in the system and pull up their design and start from the conversation from there versus starting from scratch. So barring the interest rates not being the same, I think this is a really cool feature. Oh, and one other thing to note is on the side here, we also have a section. So if a builder does have 360 tours or Matterports or anything like that, then they can link out to them on the side there. So this gives the buyer one experience to interact with this floor plan in this community, and they don't really have to click around anywhere else. So Emma Jane, if there's any questions that come in, please let me know. And if you have any questions about any of this, you can just ask at any time. This just kind of focuses in a little bit more on what I was talking about on this on the side there. So if you couldn't see it before, you can kind of see a little bit more detail there. So this is sort of the front end. So the front end is on your website, people are playing around, and then they come in and they decide to buy the house. And so you go through the process and it's time to go to the design center. And so what you can do, instead of actually sending them the design center, each buyer can have their own individual design center based on the plan that they decide to purchase. And this is an example of an online design center. And again, this is really cool because what you can do is send this link out to the potential buyer and their partner, and they can go home and start going through each of these different areas to make selections. The design center is set up in a way that a buyer would probably understand it best, where they're looking at the different rooms within the house and making selections within each room in order to get to the final of what they want in their house. And as you'll notice is as we click through these and you go back to the main page, you'll see these green boxes with the check marks. That means that buyer has gone through and made all the selections available within that particular section of the house. And you'll see there's clearly marked what's an upgrade, what's just a basic option, what's included, those kinds of things. And so it allows the buyer to really go in there and understand what the impact is of what they're building. And you'll see that it builds out a complete build sheet for the customer, and they can go in there and see that. So when a customer is playing with it in their home with their partner or whatever, what they're doing is actually building out a wish list, because we're not trying to replace the design center professionals. What we want to do is allow the buyer to have the freedom to do what they want to do and to build out their house and get to a point where they're comfortable with it, and then come into the design center. And the design specialist knows best about what works in a house and what doesn't. You can build a bunch of rules and different settings within InSearch, but having the customer come in and sit with the design center team and go through which options they selected. Again, they can save these options and we get a copy of that as the builder, and they have a copy of it as well. But when they go through it together, and then make the selections, what we're doing is now we're going from the wish list to the build sheet, and the build sheet then goes into Mark Systems, which that's where I get really excited about how the data flows. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But this is an example of a design center. And we do have another example of a design center. And so really there's quite a bit of freedom on how a builder might want to set up their design center. And this one is just a little bit different in the way that they have categorized each of the different areas and how they group things together and things like that. So I think that's enough of that one. And so again, this is the build sheet that gets created off of the selections of the design center. And the build sheet, if we are on, when you're on Mark Systems, it gets fed back into the Mark Systems to create an addendum. And the great thing too about what the build sheet is, you'll see here that a lot of the images are included. When it's fed into Mark Systems, it includes those images as well. And as the addendum is created, and then the POs are created and work orders are created, when you're speccing the different products, the pictures and the images are included on those specifications so that the trade contractors who are doing the installs and things can then see exactly what the product that was selected by the buyer is supposed to look like. So there's no confusion there as to whether they wanted the black light or the silver light or the, you know, the chrome faucet or whatever. It's all there on the spec sheets. So the design center, as I said, and was explaining in that little section, is behind or it's after commitment for purchase, and it's when the buyer goes in. But we have several builders who have taken that design center, and again, they brought it forward to engage the prospects more on their website. So not only can you have the interactive floor plans on your website and configurators and things like that, but you can also incorporate parts of the design center onto the unsecured website. And again, this is bringing prospects further down the funnel and further into finding their dream home and modifying what they want in their house. And so this one is a little bit more general. It's not as, you know, they're still building a wish list, but it's not as specific as a certain model in house. But then the buyer can select a neighborhood, and then they select a plan. And then there's a limited online design studio here where they can start just playing around, creating their wish list based off of some of the things that are offered by the builder. So when they do come in and decide that they want to make a purchase, they're already pretty far down the line in making their decisions. And these builders have found this to be quite successful as well. So any builder who has prospects that are playing in the design center after they've already modeled their floor plans and things like that, you're almost certain that they're going to find a buyer. The cool thing about InSearch too is it's not only just an online tool, but you can use it in the design center too. And so these images just really show that, you know, if you have a large monitor, you can have this little, it's on the left-hand side, the little plan flipper, which makes it a little more fun to kind of go through which are the different plans. And then you can click on those links there and work with the buyer to select the plan and to start to modify the plan through there. And the picture of the three women at the table will show you that they're working with the buyer there to make the selection, the final selections after they've gone through the wish list. I believe that she's got her wish list in front of her, and they're making those final selections to move forward with finalizing the contract and the build sheet. Oh, this is where I get really excited. So InSearch it's not really new. I think we've had InSearch now for 2 years, but it has been some time that we've been working with the InSearch team to incorporate and connect InSearch into all of our different products. And we do have connections between all of our products. And so what it really does is create this really cool ecosystem where, you know, you use Lasso where you get your leads, and those can be fed into and managed in Lasso. And then as people are doing things in InSearch in the design center and the sales center, all that is tracked in Lasso. We have InSearch integrated with LotView, which is also integrated with Lasso and Mark Systems as well. And anything that's related to the build process then is fed back into Mark Systems or managed from those different products into Mark Systems. And so I get really excited about that, because really what we're doing is saying that, well, one of the hardest things about having an online design center is really managing all of that data if it's not fed into your operating system. And so I know that I've had several conversations over the last 2 years where I've gone to some of these technical or technology conferences, where the biggest challenge is how do you manage and update all of the information and all of the data as part of your design center and keep that updated and keep the team on top of keeping that updated. Well, with InSearch, you don't really have to worry about it because it is tied right into your purchasing system. And so the purchasing team is constantly maintaining the different products that are available and the pricing and things like that. And as they are making those changes, it gets updated and InSearch in basically real time so that the sales team knows and is accurate with their pricing and product availability. So what are some of the benefits of having an integrated system? It really creates a seamless journey for buyers. You can track and manage everything in one connected solution. You have some good understanding of consumer trends. And so the purchasing team can see what is being selected on the sales side, so they can start making better decisions about what products to incorporate and what products to basically offer within their future builds. All the information is kept in a single source, so there's no downloading and porting data and making sure you're doing it in a timely manner, things like that. You can make strategic decisions much more quickly based on data. So a lot of, especially one of the things that we say a lot with lot view, especially, is if you have a lot view and you can see what buyers are clicking on and what they're interested on, and you could say the same thing with InSearch with the floor plans. If you can see what buyers are purchasing on and what they're interested in, then it helps you to make better decisions about how are you going to market that? Where are you going to put it on your website to make it more prominent? Is that one of your profitable builds? Is that a profitable lot? Do you need to market up more? You know, you can make some of these decisions based on actual data that you're receiving because you've got that connected system. You can also target prospects based on past activities logged in the CRM. So a lot of times, you know, maybe a buyer's not ready to buy right away. So like maybe they came in 6 months ago and we're playing around with InSearch and they built a nice little brochure and things like that. And so next time, as long as that information is in the CRM, next time you want to reach out to them, you can ask them about the specific build or the specific activity that they were doing within your website, so you can have a better conversation with them, you know, things like that. Seamless communication from the sales team to the field because they're working off the same database. Strong real-time communication with customers, process build organization, and you can take advantage of some of these repeatable functions. So I know that I'm singing to the choir when I tell you guys at Builder Partnerships to have a process and connected data, because I know that's a lot of what Chuck and Emma talk about. So this next part is we're going to talk more deeply about each of the different connections. And so, as I said, Mark Systems is basically the database behind InSearch. And I'm going to show you this, but I'm not necessarily going to talk to it. And basically this in sum is that these are all of the like Mark Systems tables that are used to feed the InSearch database, where the customers then can go on and find what they're looking for. So we do have a full presentation on that, and we can dive deeper into that if you do have questions about specifically which tables and which information. But really in Mark Systems, the other thing that you do is you can identify where where the options and upgrades and different products are going to be offered. So in Mark Systems, you tell it kitchen, and then you can put your products in there and it'll show up in InSearch that way. Same thing, you know, flooring. And so this is just to kind of give you an example of how that translates over. And then you're probably wondering, and it does look like a lot of work to get all those images, you know, if you're working from the database in Mark Systems, how do you then get all of the images into InSearch to make it look so nice and pretty? And we do have a process of, and we're able to work with you and the team to be able to do that, where if you're identifying the manufacturer and the model number, we're able to find those images that you might need for your InSearch design center and pages and get that populated. And as I said, InSearch does feed back to Mark Systems. And again, this is really exciting because as the buyer and the sales team builds that build sheet, then it feeds back into the addendum, and you'll see how that translates there. And, you know, we've had a lot of conversations. Here's again, some from the build sheet to the addendum, and this is the actual addendum then that the customer will sign. And we've had several builders that have been using InSearch and have been quite surprised at some of the time savings that they've been able to find by leveraging InSearch with their sales team. So in the current process, when a sales team is working with a potential buyer, they're having to go through and they'll make a selection, and they have to go back to purchasing to make sure that they're pricing it right and that everything is correct. And then they go back to the buyer again and present the information, and the buyer changes their mind and they go back to purchasing again. So there's a lot of back and forth between the sales team and purchasing as the buyer's making a final decision. And this builder, Stephen Mooney with Bill Beasley Homes, gave us this quote basically that says that when they switch to InSearch, because the pricing is there for the sales team and even the buyer, a buyer can come in the afternoon, they can go through the selections, they don't even need to go to purchasing at all, and they can have the entire build sheet and addendum put together and finalized by the end of the afternoon, and know that it is accurate because they've kept their purchasing system up to date. So that's pretty powerful, and I think that's a really good time saver and a really good benefit of InSearch. So just going through some of the other products. So InSearch, like I said before, is connected to Lot View. And so this just gives you a little bit of an example of how that works. So Esperanza Homes has all of our product. Well, they have Lasso, Lot View, and InSearch. And so what they've done is this is a lot view map, and lot view maps are really cool because they actually have a way for you to reserve the lot now. So if you wanted to do that with a buyer, they can click on this lot and they can actually click the reserve now button, and they can put some money down. Whether it's $150, $500 to hold the lot for however long you want them to be able to hold the lot. And then when they click in further, you'll see that this is customizing the plan. It got right into this is InSearch now, where they're able to play around and save their design. But now you know the specific lot that they're looking at, and provided that information. Another benefit of Lot View on the website is that you can tie it in with Google. So as they're looking at the map of your community, there's a little menu off to the side that will ask them or give them the option to look at the different, like maybe churches or schools in the area. And you'll see this real quick down here, and then we'll move on. But when we go down to the community map, sorry, there we go. So you see that little box up at the top there, the airport, churches, and doctors. If they click on that, then they'll be able to see what is around in the neighborhood, because that also, location is such a big factor in making a decision to buy a house, and that provides that information for them when you incorporate Lot View. So it's really a seamless connection is really the point there. You click on the map and you click on the lot, and then you go right into InSearch, and all of that information again gets fed back into Lasso, which is very exciting. And here I'll just show you this one page. I'm not going to dive into Lasso because we are running a little short on time, but when I had mentioned when they click on the save the design button there, it will save the design for them, but it pops up this little contact form here. So this now buyer has to, or prospect has to type in their name and their email and their phone number in order to actually save that design for them. And once they hit the save button, this goes into the system, and so then it logs them as a registrant within Lasso, and it takes their brochure and adds that into the Lasso as well, so that the sales team and the online salesperson can then see everything that was happening within that experience for that buyer. So we focus a lot on, especially with Lasso, we want to make sure that our builders are capturing all of their leads and they're bringing them into this ecosystem, in this environment. So, you know, obviously the biggest thing is to increase sales and increase profitability and things like that. And so we have our own connected system, but really, again, we as an organization believe in connecting to other tools out there. So we're a CRM, we're an operating system, we have all sorts of different tools. But it's really cool because what we, especially with Lasso, believe that we really shouldn't be leaving any leads behind. So what we do is we have different kinds of connections with many different industry players, if you will, or tools in the industry to make sure that you're capturing all your leads, bringing them into your environment, and then managing them from there. And then in the center box, you may notice that we added a couple more products, and like I said, the InSearch is integrated into Mark Systems, but Mark Systems also has an integration with Bolt, and Bolt is the tool that the contractors use, which is really great because then the contractors can manage their schedules and have those interactions with our builders, and it's very much more efficient than having the trade contractors work off the whiteboards and out of their file cabinets and things like that. And so some of the builders that are working with trade contractors who are leveraging the Bolt systems are seeing a lot better efficiencies and things like that in their trades, are not having to worry so much about hiring more staff to meet the needs of the builders that they're working with. So that's about all I have to cover today. So I do have time for questions. And actually, before I go to that, Ryan, I kind of took up the whole time. Is there anything that you wanted to add about InSearch before we go to questions?
Not a whole lot. I think you did a great job there. I think the one thing to point out in this, that it might be a shift from what you may have seen in the past from other products, is the way that we developed InSearch, it really starts kind of shifting a little bit of the onus to the purchasing side. And you can see, like, with some of our clients that it's really affected the way that they actually they run their company more effectively, because now everybody has the same information that they're working off of, and purchasing is actually now able to kind of control and manage really what's offered to be sold now, where in the past it was kind of more of like a marketing tool, and then they still had to gather up and meet and everything. But now, since that data is correct and live, everybody's confident in making those decisions and everything, that it's going to actually be available. So that's the only thing I really wanted to add for that.
Oh, thank you. So, and I'll just pull up our contact information too. So if anybody has questions or wants to reach out to us, we can definitely take more questions and things that way too. So
we had a few questions, and Ryan did answer some of them privately or typed in answers, but I will read them out loud just in case everybody had a chance to read the answer. But the first question is who do you suggest maintains and manages the input for all selections? This seems like it would be a huge time commitment. Ryan did answer, and you guys can add more to it if you like, but InSearch has a lot of tools to auto pull images, as you will see in the presentation here in a bit. The purchasing agent really now owns the options able to be displayed in InSearch for the design agents to offer. So purchasing, as Ryan said, owns the options, as they should do now, and the design agents can own how it looks. So I don't know if you guys want to expand anything on that, or if you feel that that was a sufficient answer for that particular question, or if anybody has a question that tacks onto that, please feel free to
I think we should ask the first question then.
Oh, the other one. you want me to ask that one? Because
sure.
So somebody asked Monica who her favorite sibling is.
Yes. So of course, who's hosting our webinar today? That has to be my favorite sibling.
Yeah, I think it might be the baby sister.
Come on, I'm your kidding. Favorite sibling. It's a good thing. I know you. They just asked me. I'm afraid of your answer. No. I'm just kidding.
You guys don't understand. There are 4 daughters. You're looking at 2 of them.
Yes.
The 2 best ones.
Of course. The 2 most important ones, because we led the pack.
Yes, exactly.
And then we experimented on our other sisters to see what kinds of things you could do with little kids.
So,
anyways.
Yeah. And then we have the one more.
We have the other question. Does the program account for dependencies? For instance, if they select a gourmet kitchen structural option, does do the available appliances change? So like if somebody's selecting a particular option, does it remove things that are no longer available because they selected that option, or add things that are available with that particular option? So I guess permissions is what that question would be asking. Absolutely, InSearch has rules that allow you to show, hide rooms, groups, and options based off other trigger options. Do you guys have any examples of anybody who's using that kind of using that and some of the permissions that they might use in that instance?
Yeah, I can use one specific one. I think that's actually a really good example with the gourmet kitchens, because typically what we see, we have anywhere from up to 4 different kitchens that will actually either expand options or add different options and things like that. So with InSearch, excuse me, when you create those dependent rules, InSearch is only going to show you the card that you're allowed to select. So since we're filtering everything down by lot, by plan, by model, that's how we know what's available, number one, in that specific lot and plan, but then also based off of even the structural selections. If you do that on the sales side, when the buyer initially sees the design center side, they're only going to see those options and those rooms that they have chosen previously from the structural side of things. So even down to, a den instead of a bedroom 4, what InSearch does is it hides the bedroom 4 card and only shows the den card. And then every option that is, offered within the den is now showing as well. Another really good one that we've seen that's actually saved a lot of money is when you look at fans, and most of you guys have like a pre-wire option, so you can pre-wire it and then not pick a fan, or pre-wire and pick the fan. One of our clients, I'm not going to call them out, but they went halfway through an entire community without the design agents did not pick the pre-wire option. So they lost out on all that money for the pre-wire because they had the fans available to them. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to pick the fan. So they caught it too late. But if you have InSearch, you don't even see the fans until you pick the pre-wire option, and then you see the fans, then you can make that selection. So it kind of, again, pulls that, even the buyer actually, and even the design agent pulls them through the house a little bit easier and minimizes those mistakes. So
yeah, well, and there's a really kind of a good point too there, because you have your design center agent who is up on what your products are that you're offering in your house, but a lot of times they may not be completely up to par on what you're offering. And so what InSearch does is it provides that full menu where you're then now having to offer, not having to, but you're getting the opportunity to offer everything that you actually offer to those buyers. Without having to rely on a person to remember everything that they need to offer. An example might even be like a lot of you participate in the rebate program. So like InSinkerator, most builders are not aware that you have more options than just the Badger, right? And you may not want to offer that to your buyers because it's just like a little side conversation and you're not getting that much of a margin on a disposer. But with InSearch, what you can do is actually offer online the Badger product, and then you can offer the upgraded products as well, and educate the buyers that they have more options even for disposers, and then kind of monitor and see if people are actually doing those, buying those upgrades, and really if that's something that's important for your buyer. And that may not be a conversation that your design center agent is willing to have, because again, it's sort of a lower margin sort of option versus having that huge discussion on flooring. And things like that.
Exactly. It sounds like what it does is basically creates a checklist for your designer to go through and your buyer to go through so that you don't miss anything. So just like one of the things that Chuck has always preached is making sure that you have checklists. His favorite book that he talks about is a checklist manifesto. So it kind of falls right in line with all those things. It seems like something super simple, like a fan, you need a pre-wire for that. It should be automatic that you add that to it. But when you've got so many other things to do and that's something basic, you don't really even think about it. And those are easy things to miss. So that's a great question. And I think that's a great solution for that.
Hey, Ryan, I have a question for Ryan, and you kind of answered it, but one of the problems with a lot of these design center software is options on options. I pick a 4th bedroom option, but then I pick carpet, but I don't have the carpet in the 4th bedroom. How do you handle options on options on options through your program?
Yeah, and it's really based off of those trigger options. And sometimes we have to do a little bit of coaching there, to where you need to be able to show the standard option to begin with, because you can then use that to trigger all the other options that either show or hide or anything like that. Because a lot of times, they'll include those options, and then they have to physically come into the design studio to actually see what those standard options are, where we're kind of shifting that a little bit to where now you can digitally see that, and you can, even if those are automatically selected initially, they can see those standard options. So, if it's a tile or something like that, you're not even going to see any of those carpet options or anything like that. So you can get pretty deep with the options. We have some that go all the way down to where even when you come into the design center, you only see a few cards. And then when you make that first selection, it starts pulling in a whole bunch of different rooms and everything. So you can really I'll say like packages. You can create a package. So when you select that package, now everything else within that package is going to show up and available for you to select too. So.
Well, you have pluses and minuses. And I understand that when I pick an option, it eliminates other options. Like I can't pick a bookshelf and a fireplace. Because once I pick the fireplace, the bookshelf option is no longer available because it was going to go in the same spot as the fireplace. But when I pick options and then I pick another option that's available, does it go back and plus and minus? In other words, there's certain things that disappear, like I might lose a window because I put the fireplace in there, but I have to add something else because that may be added 2 feet to the family room or whatever. How does it, is that up to the builder to determine that, or, and then how do salespeople screw it up? Excuse me, salespeople, but that needs to be kind of automatic through the software so that I can't screw up as I'm going through the selection process with the buyer.
Yeah, it does. The kind of the short answer to that is it does manage that. And it really comes down to, when there is a flow to it. Because if you come in and you've selected the 2-foot extension, for example, it's going to automatically have all those other options hidden that you can't even select. And you can retroactively do it. You can deselect that 2-foot bump out, and then now you have all those options available to you. So, I mean, you could technically, you could start with a blank slate, and then as you select those, it's going to adjust things in the back end, even backwards. Or, ideally, we want you to have all those structural options selected. So then you'll set up the design center to make those selections. So, but short answer is we can handle them. It does get a little tricky, and the builder is responsible for that. I mean, they know the options the best. They know their options the best. I mean, we only can go so far, helping them and guide them in that. But they're going to have to own those rules and everything as well too. But we definitely are with them, all the way through and during the implementation to help them out. So.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have found too with the builders that have been working with InSearch is it really has required them to go back and sort of look at and clean up their options a bit, and what are they, to really put some thought in there, because some builders, well, I'm sure many builders have way too many options that they don't need to carry, that they don't need to have, and so by making your options this visible and making it like an action that you have to do to manage these options and having them connected this way, you really have to be disciplined about analyzing, is this an option that really makes sense for you to offer, and how is that impacting obviously your profitability in your business, and is it really one that sells or not sells. So it's really a great management tool. We even have a builder who is looking at implementing InSearch now, not because of the really cool online design center and sales center and all of these functionalities, but because it's bringing discipline into their organization for them to have to be able to manage these options in a good way. So that's a great tool.
Thank you. Last question. This is from Colby. He asks, let's say you want to reserve a lot without a deposit. Are there rules where you can keep them from reserving more than one lot within a certain period of time?
Yes, within LotView, you can do that. Yeah. And you don't have to put a deposit down, or you define what that deposit is or how you want to have that hold. You just can't purchase the lot or the house online, but you can definitely reserve that lot and then put a moratorium on there for how long it can be reserved. Yeah.
Excellent.
So I did want to bring up one more slide.
Yes.
And this is going to be, so again, you can contact Ryan or me at any time. I work mostly with our customers across all products. So if you're on Mark systems, or you're, looking at InSearch, we'll probably work together when you're implementing and have purchased InSearch. Ryan is there to kind of help to help guide you and make sure you know what you're doing and answer questions and things like this. And this is really the team, our success team. And so if you're interested in purchasing InSearch or LotView or any of our products, you can actually reach out to Greg Durkin or Lauren, and they have various different types of experience in the industry. Greg has been selling software in the industry for many years, and so he's very familiar with not just our software, but other softwares. And Lauren has worked as an online sales consultant for a builder for many, many years, many builders actually. And so she's very familiar with the sales process and tools that builders use and are most effective for builders as well. So feel free to contact us or any one of them as well if you are interested.
Well, thank you so much, Monica. And tomorrow, there's an automatic thank you that goes out to all of you that were live with us today, and Monica's information is on there. So if you need anything, you can contact Monica directly. Obviously, you can contact these guys too, but Monica's email will be coming to you in a thank you email tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. That was very informative. So many good tools. Good ways for people to stay, as Monica said, a direct quote from our mom, disciplined, which is something we learned growing up. You need to be very disciplined in what you do, managing your systems, processes, and procedures, which you touched on as well today. So thank you so much, you guys, for the wisdom that you shared with us, the great tools that you offered to our group. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Great.
And thank you to all of you who joined us for Webinar Wednesday.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for being with us today. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.